Hi everyone, it's Linda here from Banjo's Bead House. Thank you all so much for your positive feedback on the peyote fun little earring project that we had out on Tuesday. So tonight we're doing continuing with the earring theme, using some Swarovski crystals, so having some fun with some sparkle. And going back, I guess, to the more traditional way of making earrings with loops. And I thought it's a great opportunity to show you the one-step looper if you haven't come across it. It's a fun little tool that makes loop work a lot easier, particularly if you're doing linked connected work such as rosary beads. For me, it's shaved nearly an hour off me making a set of rosary beads. So it's a great time-saving tool. In the case of my mum with all of her hand issues, she refuses to do the traditional way, which is what I'm doing first. So when we opened the shop, within a couple of weeks of that, Beadsmith actually launched the looper. As soon as that came onto range and Mum saw me using it, she was like, that's it, took it out of my hands, and she's been making earrings ever since. Without the looper, she's never picking up and making an earring. So it's a fun little tool. So we're going to give you guys a little preview of how to use that in a project as well. And just as a reminder, so if you missed it in the notes for the first video, if you use the code ABR Live, which is a discount code when you're checking out, we will add a little gift that's customized to you with your orders. Now that code is valid until the end of April. And if you've got any problems with that, you can always message me via the ABR group. You can just put out a post and find me, I'm Linda, or you can reach me at Banjo's Bead House. So, and I'll have links out to how to reach me in the chat for this as well. So for today's project, I'm going to tip the camera down. So for those of you who are used to seeing me in the shop environment, this is the shop. The first video was actually shot at home over the Easter long weekend. So anybody who's seen any of my Facebook Live videos will be very familiar with this setup, with looking at the tool wall behind me. For those of you who aren't, welcome to the shop. So I'm going to tip you down to my in-store workspace and we will get going on the first of the little projects. Okay, so I've got some little triangles filled with some goodies here for the projects that I'm working on. So the first has got some of these discontinued Swarovski rose twist beads. They're in our clearance section of the site at the moment. I'm just pairing them with some cute little pearls and some sparkly rondelles just to make, some pink sparkly goodness with Mother's Day in mind, since it's only a few weeks away. Some findings that we're going to use, some Swarovski crystal jet rondelles, and then some fun hammer tone charms and earrings that I have in the shop. So the first thing we're going to do is simple thread work. So we're just going to thread on, if I can find the hole, which is always a challenge with Swarovski pearls because they have nice tiny holes, except for the 2 mils. They've actually made a really nice decent hole in their 2 mil range. Okay, so we're doing this very simple little design, and I'm actually going to thread both of these up at once, so it's just a straight string, and you can see we've got a lovely little lots of sparkle. So I'm just repeating that again, doing pearl. Oops. So the other thing to note, Swarovski pearls have 2 different hole sizes. Where there's a slightly rough edge, that's where the needle has gone in. That's usually the slightly larger hole. So when you're working with things like head pins, which are a bit thicker than your needles or jewelry wire, it's a great option to pick that one up first. Just trying to get that pearl all the way to the bottom. There we go. It's also handy if you are working with the silk and Swarovski beads to, when you've got a back thread pull of silk on a pearl knotting necklace, find that big hole and make sure that's where you're threading your needle back through the second time. And I missed the rondelle then. Okay, large hole, and there we go. So now I have both of these pieces all nicely sitting on their head pins, and I've got a really long head pin, but I'm not throwing this part away. This is what I'm using to make the other earrings. So the traditional way, just how I made earrings for, let's say more than a decade without revealing too long, was I grabbed a ruler. As you can see, I've got my head pin sitting on the ruler, and I just did a 90-degree bend, so you can see that there. And I forgot my cutters, so reaching off screen for those. And I would cut with the flush side towards my work at the 1 centimeter mark. So this is how I teach everybody who's new to bead making to start at the 1 centimeter mark. As you get to know your tools, you can always progress down and make smaller, but it's easier if you, as you're getting started, learn to do 1 centimeter, because it's just a nice consistent cut then. Whoops. So we're just cutting that wire away and popping it there to use for later. So then I'm using my finger here to support the bottom of that head pin, putting my thumb there to support the top of the bead. So you can see it's nesting between my fingers. And then I'm picking up my round nose pliers. Okay, now I'm going to be rolling in this direction, so it's as if you're rolling forwards, not rolling backwards. Rolling forwards is a much more comfortable grip in your wrist than rolling backwards is. You're going to find it much easier to do. So about halfway along my pliers, I'm just grabbing the very tip of the wire, as you can see, and I'm rolling it forward, and that starts to create the loop. You can see I've still got my thumb there. I'm just going to push that entire thing back just a little bit and move back in on my pliers slightly lower. You can see I'm pulling my pliers out a little bit and just working that around to create my loop. So that's one loop. And now we'll do the other one. So exact same process, resting between the fingers, picking up and grabbing and curling. Now, once you've worked out the ratio of cut to where you use your tool, because everybody's trying round noses a little bit different in shape, the great tip I have for you guys is then Sharpie line it. I did that for years and years and years with one pair of pliers, and I knew if I cut 0.6 and curled there, I got my loop perfect and matching the same time every time. So it's a handy little tip from me. To finish these guys off, I've got these cute little French hooks with just a simple little ball. I'm just going to twist that link up. Oops. Thread on, twist close. Your other option, of course, is you can twist open that loop and thread straight on. Now we always twist these links up or down. We never pull out to the side because you don't want to distort the shape that you've just created. And that's a very quick, simple little pair of sparkly earrings. So what's this magical looper tool, you're all now thinking? So this is the looper. This is the one I use probably 95% of the time. He has two friends in the family, which I'm now reaching to get. The yellow one, this is what I use probably the other 4.5% of the time. And the green one, which is what I use the other 0.5% of the time. And if I can find my offcut jar, yes I can, I will show you loops made with all three of these after we've done our fun little project. So grabbing my offcut, and I am just setting it up just past the cutter, which is here, squeezing, creating my loop. And now I just like to bend it back, so in effect right now I'm creating an eye pin. I'm then just going to stack up my little nest of Swarovski briolettes or rondelles, the 504s. You can see I've got a little bit of wire left here. Oops, sorry, I'm off camera for that one. A little bit of wire there. You can see I've got my loop going, so it's down here at the bottom. I'm then threading that on and squeezing. And my loop here is going around this way, and this figure is going this way. There's a way you create a nice little figure eight, which gives your piece a little bit more strength when it's being pulled at. Okay, so we'll repeat this process. We're just cutting there, creating a little loop. And that one's a little wonky, but I'll show you how to fix that after the fact. We're just threading up. Now, if you're using this with Swarovski 4mm bicones, I have cracked a few. I always put my thumb there as I'm actually finishing the link. So I'll show you where I do that. So that this is where I put my thumb in. So as that link is closing off, you can see there I'm actually stopping the tool from finishing. Then I hand finish. So I'm going to stop there and show you what I mean by hand finish. It's where you come back with your trusty round nose and you just complete the turn. So that's why it's important to know how to do the traditional way, because your looper doesn't always close everything perfectly, but it does save a lot of cutting and measuring and everything else. And that's my little set of linked beads created. So we're now going back to my chain nose pliers, and we're going to put our little earring set together. So I've got this fun little hammer tone circle, and I haven't got that open enough. We're just going to grab that through and then twisting close. Now if you don't want to link in directly, you could have used a jump ring. I also could have used the yellow looper to create a slightly bigger loop, which would have made that a little bit easier to get on, but he's not going anywhere. And then I have this fun charm that's also hammer toned to add in for the other one. Now this you can either choose to work with it concave that way or that way. I'm going to have the concave going in, as you can see, and very quickly we have one earring done, and then we go for the other one. So you can see here I've got a little bit of looseness. I can actually adjust that a little bit before I finish. Just going to round that out a little bit. We're going to pick up our earring, get that on, and then twist that guy closed, open up this one, thread on, and nice and quick and easy. You've got another pair of earrings and you only need to use one head pin. So the looper is a great way of creating your own eye pins. So if you're a fan of using things like artistic wire and you want to make your own ear hooks, you can use the looper to create the base, and then go create any shape you like around a dowel. So it's great that way. So lots of fun. But as I said, I would show you guys the difference in the loopers. So I have a jar of offcuts. This is, you know, the result of doing many rosaries and link things. We keep all of our offcuts. So have a nice long piece of head pin here, and I'm just going to do the 1.5 mil looper, so that we know is the 1.5 mil. I'm going to grab a gold one this time, and this is then exactly the same process, but that's the 2.25 mil looper. So you've got the 1.5 mil, which is the silver, and then you've got this guy, and we'll do another silver because I don't have another color in here at the moment. And then we've got the big guy, and that one is the 3 mil. So where do I use the different ones? This is what I use for rosary beads, for connecting link work, and for earrings. This guy I primarily use if I want to thread over where I've done some work and I maybe have a bugle bead over it. So I have a great little rosemary project that I might share with you guys a little bit further into this if nobody else comes up with some videos. That's where I primarily use this one. And then if I'm doing things where I just need a slightly bigger hole, so going to charms and earrings, some of the settings you need just a little bit bigger hole, that's when I'll tend to use this one. This guy, the 3 mil one, is when I want to create pieces that dangle over leather. So this hole is big enough to get through 2 mil leather and even 2.5 mil leather. So he's been great to create drops that when I can slide beads and pieces and have a lot of fun, or even into kumihimo cords and satin cords, and just expand what you can do that way. So he's versatile, but this is the one I use the most. So if you're going to invest in a looper, this is the one I would start with, and you won't look back. Very fun tool. But that's it for me for this little quick one. Hope you've enjoyed these little earrings, and I look forward to our chat on Zoom following it. See you guys all then. Bye for now.